Jake Martinez tightened the strap on his daughter's helmet one more time. The pink butterfly stickers looked out of place against the worn leather of his jacket, but it was the only helmet small enough for Maya's 8-year-old head. "Dad, I'm fine," Maya said, her voice muffled. "You checked it 3 times already." Around them, the parking lot of the Desert Rose Diner buzzed with activity. Motorcycles lined up in precise rows, their chrome gleaming under the Arizona sunset. Riders moved through the space in leather and denim, their voices carrying across asphalt still hot from the day. Most were hardened bikers, men and women with road-worn faces and oil-stained hands. Jake felt out of place in his faded jeans and borrowed jacket, but the Iron Skulls had insisted all prospects attend the annual meet. Jake rode for the Iron Skulls now. Prospect status, bottom of the ladder, no vote, no voice, but it kept food on the table. His ex-wife was supposed to take Maya this weekend, but she'd canceled last minute. Again. The club president had reluctantly agreed to let Maya attend as long as she stayed quiet and out of the way. "Stay close to me," Jake said. "No wandering off." I know. Maya skipped ahead, her sneakers scuffing against the pavement. The diner's back lot opened up before them. Bikes from all over the Southwest filled the space. Different clubs, different colors, united by wheels and asphalt. But they weren't here for unity. They were here for him. In the center of the lot stood a makeshift stage, just a flatbed trailer with speakers. But what made everyone stop and stare wasn't the stage. It was the man standing beside it. He sat on a motorcycle that looked like it had rolled out of hell itself. Black as midnight, chrome like bone, and built with a menace that made other bikes look like toys. The man matched his machine perfectly. 6'4", built like violence, covered in tattoos that told stories of roads traveled and laws broken. His leather cut was worn smooth, the patches faded but unmistakable. A single name was stitched across the back, Reaper. According to the whispers Jake had heard, the name was earned, not chosen. 40 years on the road, never defeated, never backed down. The last of the old guard, when bikers settled disputes with fists and engines instead of lawyers and committees. Maya pressed against the chain-link fence separating them from the main lot. "Cool bike," she whispered. Club President Tommy Chains Morrison approached, his boots heavy on the gravel. He was tall, weathered, and didn't like having a kid at his event. "Martinez, keep your daughter away from the fence. This ain't a playground." "Sorry, Press." Jake pulled Maya back. Eddie Wrench Collins joined them, the club's road captain. He was younger than Jake expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes that didn't quite match his scarred knuckles. Actually, let the kid look. History should inspire respect, especially in the young. Chain's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. He walked away, greeting riders from other clubs with practiced nods. Wrench crouched beside Maya. "What do you think? Pretty impressive, right?" "Is he really the deadliest biker on Earth?" Maya asked. "Well, he's definitely been riding the longest. Reaper's been on that bike since before I was born. Whether he's the deadliest..." Wrench smiled. "That's legend. But the people who ride these roads believe it. They're terrified of him. Why? The stories say he ruled the highways with absolute authority. Clubs paid respect to him. Anyone who challenged him without cause disappeared. When people thought he'd finally hang up his keys, he just kept riding. Never stopped, never slowed down. That's scary," Maya said. But she didn't look scared. She looked fascinated. History often is. Wrench stood. "Enjoy the meet, both of you." As the evening wore on, Jake stayed near the back of the lot, trying to be invisible. He watched Maya wander slowly around, studying different bikes, old Harleys, custom choppers, vintage Indians. Other riders arrived. Jake recognized some from news reports, and biker documentaries, the Southwest's elite. Then, he noticed 3 riders who didn't fit. They entered together, moving with eerie synchronization. 2 men and 1 woman, all impossibly still on their bikes, engines rumbling in perfect harmony. Their leather was pristine, too clean, too new, but their eyes were old, too focused, too knowing. The woman's gaze locked onto Reaper. She killed her engine and dismounted in one fluid motion. The 2 men followed. They approached the legendary biker with something like reverence in their movements. Maya appeared beside Jake, tugging his sleeve. "Dad, those riders look weird." "Maya, that's not polite." "But they're staring at him like they're scared and excited at the same time." Jake looked again. The 3 riders had moved closer to Reaper, ignoring the unspoken boundaries every biker knew to respect. Other riders should have said something, but everyone was distracted, drinking, laughing, unaware. The woman reached out and touched Reaper's bike. Her fingers traced the gas tank like she was reading Braille. The temperature in the lot suddenly felt heavier. Riders nearby shifted uncomfortably. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chain's voice boomed through the speakers, "thank you for joining us tonight. This annual meet represents the Southwest's greatest tradition, brotherhood, freedom, the open—" He stopped mid-sentence. An engine roared to life, not Reaper's. A new bike, thundering into the lot from the desert road, kicking up dust that turned orange in the dying sunlight. Every rider turned to look. The bike was young, a modern sport bike, sleek and fast, painted electric blue with aggressive angles. The kind of machine old-school bikers dismissed as plastic and posturing. The rider matched the bike, young, lean, wearing a full-face helmet and racing leathers that screamed money and inexperience. The sport bike cut through the lot and stopped directly in front of Reaper. The young rider dismounted and pulled off the helmet. A kid, maybe 19, with styled hair and a confidence that bordered on arrogance. The lot went silent. Not the silence of people choosing to be quiet, but the silence of people whose voices had stopped working from pure shock. Reaper looked at the kid slowly. His gaze was measured, cold. Several older riders backed away. Others moved forward, sensing something about to break. The kid spoke, his voice carrying in the sudden quiet. "You're Reaper." It wasn't a question. Reaper didn't respond. "I'm calling you out," the kid continued. "Right here, right now. One race, highway run. Winner takes the title." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Chains stepped forward, hands raised. "Kid, you don't know what you're doing. That's not how this works. You can't just—" "I just did." The kid's eyes never left Reaper. Unless the legend is too scared to ride. The 3 strange riders who'd been watching dropped to their knees, heads bowed toward Reaper. The woman whispered something that sounded like a prayer. Reaper stood slowly from his bike. His movements were fluid, deliberate. When he spoke, his voice was rough, like gravel under tires. 40 years, he said. 40 years I've ridden. I've seen hundreds like you. Young, fast, convinced speed equals skill." The kid smiled. "And I've seen hundreds like you, old, slow, living on stories from decades ago." To his credit, the kid didn't run when Reaper stepped closer, but Jake saw the kid's hands tremble slightly. "This isn't a race," Reaper said. "This is suicide. You challenge me because you don't understand what you're challenging." "I understand perfectly. You're the last of the old guard. Beat you, and I become legend. Simple." Reaper looked at him, just looked. The kid's confident smile faltered. "I am no legend," Reaper said quietly. "I am a warning. I ride because stopping would mean accepting death. Every mile is a borrowed moment. Every challenge I accept is a theft from time itself." His eyes, dark and bottomless, swept the kid. "You want to race death, boy?" Before the kid could answer, Maya pulled away from Jake. Before he could stop her, his 8-year-old daughter walked toward the confrontation. "Maya, no!" Jake lunged, but other riders were in the way. He stumbled, watching in horror as his daughter approached the legendary biker. Reaper turned. For the first time, his weathered face showed surprise. He looked down at the small girl walking toward him without hesitation. "Child," Reaper said, "this is no place for you." "Why?" Maya stopped a few feet away, tilting her head. "Are you going to hurt that boy?" The legendary biker's expression shifted. "If he rides against me, yes, he will be hurt, possibly killed. That is what happens when children play games with consequences they don't understand." "But he just wants to race you," Maya said simply. The entire lot held its breath. The 3 kneeling riders looked up in shock. Jake's heart hammered so hard he thought it might burst. Reaper stared at Maya for a long moment. Then slowly, he knelt, bringing himself to the child's eye level. This close, Jake could see details he'd missed. The man's hands were scarred and weathered, but steady. His face was lined with decades of sun and wind. His presence radiated something ancient and tired. "Child," Reaper said, "do you know what I am?" "You're a biker," Maya said. "A really good one." "I am the last ghost on these roads. I ride because I cannot stop. Men have challenged me for 40 years, and all of them have failed. Some lived, some did not. This boy will be another name in a long list." "That's sad," Maya said. "Don't you get tired of winning?" Reaper's expression cracked. Something vulnerable flickered across his face. "Every day." Maya took another step closer. She looked up at the legendary biker with pure, uncomplicated sympathy. "Then maybe you should stop racing people who just want to prove something. Maybe you should ride because you want to, not because you have to." Something happened to Reaper's face. His eyes, which had been hard and distant, suddenly looked lost, human in a way that made no sense for someone called the deadliest biker on Earth. "I have not ridden for joy in 30 years, Reaper whispered. "I have not known peace in longer." "That's really sad," Maya said, her eyes growing wet. Then, in a gesture that made every adult in the lot want to scream, she stepped forward and hugged the legendary biker's leg. Reaper froze. His scarred hands hovered in the air, not touching the child, as if afraid his very presence might harm her. The 3 kneeling riders looked like they'd stopped breathing. "It's okay," Maya said. "You don't have to race if you don't want to." The young challenger stepped forward, anger replacing his earlier bravado. "Hey, we're not done here. I challenged." Reaper's head turned. Just turned. The kid's words died instantly. "You challenged nothing," Reaper said, his voice dropping to something cold and final. "You demanded attention like a child throwing a tantrum. You wanted glory without understanding cost. You wanted legend without earning scars." He stood slowly, Maya's small hand still holding his weathered fingers. "This child has shown more courage in one moment than you've shown in your entire life. She approached me without fear because she saw a person, not a trophy." The kid's face flushed red. "I'm not backing down. You have to race me. Everyone's watching." "No." Reaper's voice carried across the lot. "I don't have to do anything. I've spent 40 years proving myself to fools who thought speed made them worthy. I'm done." Chains stepped forward carefully. "Reaper, if you don't race, the kid will talk. He'll say you backed down. Your legend." "My legend is heavy enough." Reaper looked down at Maya. "This child has reminded me why I started riding in the first place. Freedom, not fear, not proving strength, just the open road and the wind. He turned to face the assembled riders. Every club, every patch, every old-timer and young blood watching with held breath. "I am Reaper," he said. "I have ridden longer than most of you have been alive. I have won races, crushed challenges, and earned respect through force. But I am tired. Tired of being challenged. Tired of hurting young fools who don't know better. Tired of riding because stopping feels like dying." His grip tightened gently on Maya's hand. "This child has given me something I thought lost forever. Permission to stop." The lot erupted. Riders shouted, some angry, others confused. The young challenger screamed about cowardice and legends dying. Chains tried to restore order. But the three strange riders who'd been kneeling stood slowly. The woman spoke, her voice shaking. "Master, we've followed your path for 15 years. We learned to ride by studying your roots. Your legend inspired us." "I know," Reaper said quietly. "I've seen you at meets, watching, learning. If you stop riding, what do we follow?" Reaper looked at Maya, then back at the woman. "Follow the road, not the rider. I rode for glory once, then for reputation, then because I didn't know how to stop. But this child showed me something I'd forgotten. Kindness has more power than any engine." Jake finally broke through the crowd and reached his daughter. He grabbed Maya's shoulder, ready to pull her back. But Reaper looked at him, and Jake froze. Not from fear, but from the raw emotion in the old biker's eyes. "You raised this child," Reaper said. "You taught her to see people before seeing legends." "I taught her to be kind," Jake said, his voice barely working. "Please don't hurt her." "Hurt her?" Reaper's expression softened completely. "This child has done something I thought impossible. She has reminded me why I first loved the road, before the challenges, before the blood, before the legend, when it was just me and the wind and freedom." The young challenger pushed forward again. "This is bullshit. You can't just walk away. I challenged you. Everyone saw." Reaper turned to him slowly. "You want to race? Fine. Tomorrow morning, Highway 60 eastbound. Sunrise. But know this. If you race me and lose, you'll understand what you've lost. Not just the race, but the joy of riding, the love of the road. You'll spend the rest of your life trying to reclaim what you had before you made everything a competition." The kid hesitated. For the first time, doubt crossed his young face. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I have not enjoyed a single ride in 30 years, Reaper said. "Every mile has been burden. Every turn has been test. Every straightaway has been memory of past victories that meant nothing. You want that life? Race me. Win or lose, you'll become what I am. Empty." Maya tugged on Reaper's hand. "You don't sound empty. You sound sad." The legendary biker knelt again, bringing himself to her eye level one more time. "Thank you, young one. You have given me something I thought lost forever." "What?" "Hope. That perhaps I can learn to love riding again." Then Reaper stood and walked to his motorcycle. The three riders who'd been watching followed him. The crowd parted silently. As he mounted his bike, his voice carried back. "The challenge is declined, but if the boy still wants to race tomorrow, I'll be on Highway 60 at sunrise. Not to win, just to ride." He looked directly at Maya. "And if you want to see what real riding looks like, young one, ask your father to bring you. I'll show you the sunrise from a saddle." Then his engine roared to life, and Reaper rolled out of the lot. The three riders followed. Everyone watched in silence as the legend disappeared into the desert night. The lot erupted again. Riders argued, phones came out, Chains shouted at his security team. The young challenger stood alone, looking lost and confused. Jake pulled Maya close and held her tight, his mind racing. His 8-year-old daughter had just changed the most feared biker in the Southwest, and nothing would ever be the same. Jake didn't sleep that night. He sat in their small apartment watching Maya sleep, his mind replaying every moment. His phone buzzed constantly, news already spreading through biker networks, messages from club members demanding to know what happened, even a call from his ex-wife asking if the stories were true. Is our daughter really responsible for Reaper quitting racing? Sarah's voice was sharp through the speaker. Yes. Jake, what the hell? You brought her to a biker meet? I have to go. He hung up. He didn't have energy for her judgment. By sunrise, their apartment had visitors. Jake looked out the window and saw motorcycles lining the street. Riders he didn't recognize, watching their building. Some looked angry. Others looked curious. Wrench called at dawn. Jake, don't go to Highway 60. I've been asking around. Reaper isn't just any rider. He's got history. Real history. People have died challenging him. He wasn't lying about that. He was kind to Maya. Because Maya surprised him, but kindness from a legend doesn't make him safe. Kid could have challenged him seriously, and Reaper might have killed him on that highway. Jake looked at Maya, already awake and excited. What choice do I have? He invited her. Let me come with you. The club can provide escort. Protection. Protection from what? From the riders who think Reaper going soft is an insult to everything bikers stand for. From the kids like that challenger who might try something stupid. From... A knock at the door cut him off. Jake opened it carefully. The 3 riders from last night stood in the hallway. Up close, Jake could see they were older than he'd thought. Weathered. Road-worn. The woman spoke quietly. Mr. Martinez, Master Reaper sent us to escort you and your daughter. There will be others on Highway 60 this morning, some to watch, some to challenge. He wants the child safe. I don't trust you. Then stay here and wait for the others who are coming. They won't be as polite. The woman's eyes were serious. Master Reaper hasn't stopped racing in 40 years. Your daughter made him remember why he started. That's significant. It's sacred. Others will want to understand, or test, or break. Maya appeared at Jake's side. Are we going to see the sunrise? The woman knelt, bringing herself to Maya's level. Yes, young one, if your father permits. Jake grabbed Maya's hand. His club would be furious. His ex-wife would use this against him. But looking at his daughter's excited face, Okay, he said, but I'm driving. Of course, we'll escort. 30 minutes later, Jake's pickup truck rolled onto Highway 60, flanked by 3 motorcycles. The desert stretched endlessly in pre-dawn darkness. In the distance, Jake could see lights. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Bikes lined both sides of the highway. Riders from across the Southwest gathered to witness whatever this was. Some looked angry. Others looked reverent. All looked tense. In the center of it all, Reaper sat on his black motorcycle, facing east, waiting for sunrise. Jake parked and helped Maya out. The 3 escort riders formed a protective triangle around them as they walked toward the legendary biker. Reaper turned and saw Maya. His weathered face softened. You came. You invited me, Maya said simply. I did. Reaper looked at Jake. Your daughter is safe here. I give you my word. Your word doesn't mean much if everyone else here wants to challenge you. They won't. Reaper's voice carried authority that made Jake believe him. Not today. The young challenger from last night approached, no longer wearing his cocky smile. He looked tired, uncertain. You really meant it, the kid said, about not racing. I meant every word. But Your legend, my legend is a chain, Reaper said quietly. 40 years of wait. Your challenge last night would have been number 317. 317 times I've proven myself. Do you know how many of those races I enjoyed? The kid didn't answer. None, Reaper said. Not one, because every race became obligation. Every victory became expectation. Every challenger became burden. He looked at Maya. Until this child reminded me what I'd lost. What did she remind you? That riding should be joy, not test. The kid looked at Maya, really looked. Then he turned back to Reaper. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You're young. Understanding takes time. Reaper's expression softened. You ride well. I saw your approach last night. Fast, controlled, confident. Don't waste that skill chasing legends. Ride for yourself. Will you teach me? Reaper was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Perhaps, if you can learn to ride for the right reasons. The sky began to lighten. Orange and pink spread across the horizon. Reaper started his engine, the rumble echoing across the desert. Everyone here came to see a race, Reaper called out, his voice carrying. I'll give you something better. A ride, no competition, no challenge, just the road and the sunrise. Anyone who wants to join, come, but leave your ego behind. He looked down at Maya. Would you like to ride with me, young one? I promise to keep you safe. Maya looked at Jake. Jake's every instinct screamed no, but he saw the hope in his daughter's eyes, the wonder. Just be careful, Jake whispered. Reaper lifted Maya onto his bike, settling her safely in front of him. Then he addressed Jake directly. Your daughter has given me a gift, Marcus Webb. I will guard her with everything I am. Then he rolled forward slowly, not racing, just riding. The 3 escort riders followed. Then others joined. Young riders on sport bikes, old-timers on vintage Harleys, club members setting aside colors and rivalry. One by one, they fell in behind Reaper, not racing, just riding. Jake watched from the roadside as hundreds of motorcycles rolled east into the sunrise, his daughter sitting with the deadliest biker on earth, learning what joy looked like on 2 wheels. 30 minutes later, they returned. Maya was laughing, wind-blown and happy. Reaper lifted her down carefully. Thank you, Maya told him. No, young one, thank you. Reaper knelt one more time. You reminded an old man that legends are worth less than moments, that reputation is worth less than peace. Will you keep riding? Yes, but differently. For joy now, not glory. Good, Maya said. Then she hugged him again. This time, Reaper didn't hesitate. He wrapped his arms around the child carefully, his weathered face showing something like peace. When they separated, Reaper stood and addressed the assembled riders. For 40 years, I've been what you call legend, the deadliest biker on earth, undefeated, unchallenged successfully. But I'm done with that title, done with proving myself. If anyone wants the crown, it's yours. I'm going to ride for myself now. He looked at the young challenger. And you, what's your name? Danny, the kid said quietly. Danny Rodriguez. Danny Rodriguez, you wanted to challenge me for glory. I'm offering you something better. Ride with me. Learn what real freedom looks like. Then decide if you still want to be a legend. Danny nodded, speechless. Reaper mounted his bike again, but before he left, he looked at Jake. Your daughter is special. Protect that. Don't let the world make her hard. Don't let her lose the ability to see people instead of reputations. I'll try, Jake said. That's all any of us can do. Reaper started his engine. Ride safe, Martinez. Then he rolled away, not racing, just cruising. Danny and the 3 escorts followed. One by one, other riders joined, until Highway 60 was filled with motorcycles moving east into morning light. Not competing, just riding. Jake pulled Maya close and held her tight. His 8-year-old daughter had challenged nothing, yet changed everything. She'd shown kindness to someone who looked sad, and that simple act had freed a legend from his own reputation. 3 months passed. The story spread through biker communities worldwide. The deadliest biker on Earth had stopped racing. Not defeated, not dead, just done. Reaper became something different. He rode for joy now, teaching young riders about the road instead of competition. He hosted rides focused on scenery instead of speed. He became what he'd been 40 years ago, before legend consumed him. Someone who loved motorcycles. Danny Rodriguez became his most dedicated student. The cocky kid transformed into a thoughtful rider, learning that skill meant control, not just speed. Maya adapted faster than Jake. She spent weekends at riding events now, not to watch races, but to listen to Reaper tell stories about the roads he'd traveled, the places he'd seen, the freedom he'd found and lost, and found again. Jake watched his daughter change, not physically, but in understanding. Maya learned that the world was more complex than she'd imagined, that legends were just people carrying heavy weight, that kindness could matter more than any reputation. One afternoon, Jake found Reaper and Maya in the desert, sitting on a blanket, watching clouds. "When I was young," Reaper was saying, "I thought being the best meant being the strongest, the fastest, the most feared. But your dad taught you something I forgot." "What?" Maya asked. "That being the best means being kind, seeing others, caring about their sadness." Reaper's voice was soft. "You gave me back something I thought I'd lost forever, Maya. You gave me back myself." Maya smiled. "I just think you're nice." "I am not nice. I've done terrible things in pursuit of glory. I've hurt people, broken them. But you're nice to me." Reaper closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. "Yes, I suppose I am." Jake cleared his throat. They looked up. "We need to talk," Jake said. "About the future." Reaper nodded. "I know what you'll ask. Is this sustainable? Will I keep changing? What happens when Maya grows up and doesn't need an old biker telling stories?" "All of that." The honest answer? I don't know. Change is difficult. Some days I want to go back, prove myself one more time, race one more challenger. But then I remember why I stopped. Reaper looked at Maya. This child showed me kindness when I'd forgotten what that felt like. She didn't see legend. She saw a person. That gift changed everything. She's 8 years old. I was younger when I first felt the road beneath me. Younger when I learned that speed could replace emotion. I became what I am because the world showed me only competition. Reaper's voice grew soft. Maya shows me something different. She shows me that people matter more than reputations. Maya hugged Reaper's arm. I just think everyone deserves to be happy. Not everyone deserves it, young one, but everyone needs it. Reaper looked at Jake. Your daughter has a gift. She connects where others fear. She sees truth where others see image. That gift could change more than just me. That's not much of a plan for her life. It is the only plan worth having. To be kind, to see people, to remind legends they're human. Reaper smiled slightly. Besides, I've decided something. What? I'm opening a riding school, not for racing, for joy. Teaching people to love the road again, not compete on it. I'd like Maya to help, if you approve. Jake looked at his daughter, who was reorganizing small desert stones with intense concentration. 8 years old, gap-toothed, completely unaware that she'd changed the most feared biker on Earth. "Okay," Jake said. "We try." Maya looked up and smiled. "Can we ride after this, just for fun?" Reaper laughed, a real laugh, warm and alive. "Yes, we can ride for fun." And so they did. A protective father, his 8-year-old daughter, and the former deadliest biker on Earth sat in the desert, planning rides focused on joy instead of victory. It shouldn't have worked, but somehow it did. Because sometimes the most powerful thing in the world isn't strength or fear or reputation. Sometimes it's just a child who decides to be kind to someone who looks sad, and that changes everything.